This video is about how to offer Hydrosols to your dog. Now, I work with Hydrosols a lot with dogs simply because they are selected a lot. And actually, I find they are a gentler way in. So if your dog has never worked with aromatics before, or you've used essential oils, but not in a way, not with knowledge, then a beautiful way to introduce them to aromatics is through the Hydrosols, simply because they're gentler, they can be drank, they can be inhaled, they can be rolled in. There are no known contraindications with Hydrosols. So if you have a dog that is on medication, or a dog that is highly sensitive or highly stressed, or perhaps doesn't want the essential oils, often then the Hydrosols are the way in. And sometimes dogs will work with the Hydrosols for a while and then they'll start working with essential oils. Other times they'll only ever want to work with Hydrosols. Our Basset Cross was a classic for that. Apart from vetiver essential oil, she was all about the Hydrosols, and she was a very, very sensitive dog. And you'd think that a dog that is more reactive, maybe they need the harder stuff like the essential oils, but actually it's the opposite. They need a gentler way in because they're so expressive in their energy and their emotions and vocalizations that actually they need that slightly gentler conversation to introduce them to aromatics and how they can help change how they feel emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So yes, so I will often start a session with Hydrosols. If the dog isn't interested, then absolutely I'll offer an essential oil. And it isn't that I only work with Hydrosols and then only work with essential oils. You can intermix, you can bring them in at different points. So for example, if a dog is selecting valerian hydrosol, I might then also offer them the essential oil. Not necessarily. The key thing is to recognize that they are not less than or more than. They are simply different, a different way of working with your dog, and your dog will have a preference. So there are several ways you can work with a Hydrosol. First of all, I would check in. So many Hydrosols come with the spray, the atomizer spray. You can get, and you see the bottles behind me, you can actually, I do sell them in bottles without the spray. So if your dog is really fearful of that hissing sound or that spray sound, I would suggest offering from the bottle and just pouring a little bit onto your hand. Or you can spray when the dog isn't in that space. You can spray onto an aroma stick. I'll grab one of those for you. Or you can spray it onto your hand or onto a piece of cloth. But the key is to work out how your dog wants to interact with it. So initially, I would start simply by having the bottle. Now, some dogs are wary of bottles, especially if they've had a lot of medication or if they've had stuff sprayed on them. They will find a bottle unnerving. In that case, you may then just want to take the lid off and just offer the stick. Or you may want to, as I suggested, spray some of the Hydrosol onto an unscented aroma stick in a different room where your dog doesn't get spooked by the sound, and then just offer the stick. So you can either hold it or you can put it on the floor. Particularly if your dog is slightly suspicious or wary of you doing anything, or there's any expectation around it, simply placing the aroma stick on the floor for them then to choose to interact with it rather than them having to come to you can be a really effective way to work. Some dogs are completely happy to work with the Hydrosol on your hands. So if you're finding that they're coming towards the bottle or the aroma stick and they're licking, then I would suggest you pour some of the Hydrosol onto your hand so they can drink it from your hand, or put it into a shallow, this is a cat bowl, so it's quite shallow, put it into a shallow bowl, ideally actually a saucer, because you can have dogs that are absolutely bonkers for food and they will eat their food from any receptacle, doesn't matter where. But when it comes to the aromatics, they can become very particular on how they want to work with them. So referring to our Basset Cross again, she would eat food from anywhere, but when it came to her Hydrosol, she would only drink them from my hand. And her favorite was cornflower Hydrosol, which she would drink from my hand. As soon as I put it into a bowl, she wouldn't select it, no matter what the type of bowl. If I put it on the floor, sometimes she would, but she very much wanted to take it from my hand. Now, whether that was the nurturing element or whether it changed the temperature of the Hydrosol or whether it changed the vibration of the Hydrosol, I don't know. But it's just really important that you explore different ways for your dog to interact with the Hydrosols. So you have your hand, you have the aroma stick. Remember, be careful if they are prone to eating things. You don't necessarily want them to eat lots of cards. So if they are licking at the card or nibbling it, then that's a sign that they want to ingest the Hydrosol. So perhaps pour it into your hand or in a bowl. Another way of working with them is on a piece of material. So it needs to be unscented, which this one isn't. I can smell vetiver on it or something quite strong. So it needs to be an unscented piece of material. And you would simply, again, if your dog is cautious of sounds, then don't do this near them. Simply spray the Hydrosol onto the cloth and then place that on the ground. And again, the beautiful thing about this is some dogs really like to roll in the Hydrosols, or they like to position themselves around it. So they may want to lay their hind quarters on it, they may want to lay their head on it, they may want to roll it, they may want to lick it. So by having it on a piece of material means, again, they have more freedom in how they express how they want to interact with the Hydrosol. And then obviously you can move between the different ways. So yeah, and actually if they have a favorite toy, so I've got a stuffed Tigger here. If they have a toy, probably not necessarily their favorite one, but if they have a toy that they like interacting with amongst others, then, and if they're selecting that Hydrosol and they're looking like they want to interact with it, but the way you've presented it isn't working for them, then go with something familiar. So you could just spray a smaller amount onto the toy and let them be with it or not be with it. It's really important, however, that you're not, if they only have one toy, don't spray the Hydrosol onto that one toy. It's important that they have the choice, because they may not want to interact with it like that. And then you've sprayed their favorite toy with a Hydrosol they don't want to ingest. So yes, it was fascinating working with a border collie at a rescue centre locally with my students. And one of the dogs really wanted to work with the Hydrosols, but was not trusting enough to come close to the person offering in order to interact with it. So what she ended up having to do was spray it onto a piece of material. The dog then picked this material up and took it to a place where he could interact with it in his own time. I've had it where other dogs have wanted to inhale the Hydrosol, but then they need something to chew on while they're processing. It's almost like, if you liken it to going to therapy and the therapist is accessing stuff in your subconscious or bringing up memories, and that can bring up physical responses in our body, and then we need something to do. So you may be someone that fiddles with your hair, or you may fiddle with your fingers, or you may shift around in your chair. Expression is really important when your dog is working with Hydrosols. So really get creative with how you offer them, how they interact with them. And remember, the key is simply to offer and to sit back and observe without getting attached to how they react to it, and keep a log of it, keep a note of how they are responding. And with the Hydrosols, essential oils I tend to offer one at a time, unless I'm confident that the dog is able to interact with more than one at a time. Hydrosols, because they are less potent, it is possible to work with more than one at a time. So I may have, so as you'll have seen, if you have watched it yet, you've seen in the video with Mackenzie, the little Jack Russell Cross Dachshund, I have several bottles out because he's really clear and really comfortable and really communicative on which ones he wants, and he would lay by the ones he wants. So if you have several Hydrosols, you can place the bottles out, and then your dog can indicate which ones it is they need. So that's another way of working. And what they will do is they will select, some they will want to inhale, others they will want to lick. Now, it doesn't mean that the ones they want to lick is a preference. It is simply that that's how they are choosing to interact with that Hydrosol. So think about it like, so if they're taking stuff internally, that generally is working on the physical body, which of course will affect the emotions and the behavior. If they're only wanting to work via inhalation, they're working more often than not deeply with emotion, but of course inhalation will have an effect on their physiology. So it will affect their heart rate, their blood pressure, their digestive system, etc., etc. But just to remember that it's not, oh, they're drinking that one, but he's only sniffed that one. It's not, the key is to look at how they were before you offered the Hydrosol and then how they are afterwards. So looking at, going back to your signals, what signals are they offering when they're interacting with the Hydrosol? Okay, so that is Hydrosols for you. Enjoy the process. Or one more thing before I close this video, and this video even. If a dog is going to lick a Hydrosol, but they're only taking very, very small amounts, it could be that they only need small amounts, but it could be that actually the Hydrosol is a little bit too strong. So you can dilute them. You can water them down slightly and then see if they want to interact with them that way. And of course, we can drink them too. So I regularly will have ginger Hydrosol and sometimes cinnamon Hydrosol, and I tend to take them undiluted because that's my preference. So yeah, so enjoy the process, watch your dog, keep learning and keep an open mind.